She described herself as very, very happy. 3 words. And the fact that those 3 words are the most revealing thing Melinda Gates has said in 3 years of public interviews tells you everything you need to understand about what the 27 years before them actually cost her. Not cautiously hopeful. Not healing. Not ready to move forward. Very, very happy. Spoken to People magazine about a craft beer entrepreneur from Seattle who once walked the same Microsoft hallways where her life with Bill Gates began. A woman who spent nearly 3 decades choosing her words with the precision of a legal filing chose those 3. And what she said makes you go back and look at every interview, every TED Talk, every joint appearance, every carefully composed public smile, and wonder exactly how long the gap existed between what was being said and what was actually true. This is not a story about a 61-year-old woman finding love again. That framing is too simple and too convenient. This is a story about what it takes to become someone's equal, give up that equality quietly, spend 2 decades not knowing what is being hidden from you, and then, after the carpet and the panic attacks and the nightmares, rebuild an identity that belongs only to yourself. Melinda French arrived at Microsoft in 1987 with 2 degrees from Duke University and a reputation that preceded her. She was 23 years old, already exceptional, already building a career that did not require a single famous name attached to it. Bill Gates was the richest man in any room he entered. But when he asked her out at a company picnic, Melinda French told him she was too busy. Not intimidated. Too busy. He called back 2 weeks later with a more organized proposal, a scheduled date with a clear plan. That persistence was not incidental. It was who Bill Gates was, a man who identified what he wanted and committed to acquiring it with every resource available to him. They became a couple. They got engaged in 1993. And Bill, being the kind of person who approaches every significant decision as an optimization problem, reportedly made a pros and cons list about marriage before he proposed. Melinda said yes anyway. Their wedding in Hawaii was small and deliberately inaccessible. Bill rented every helicopter on the island, every single one, so that photographers could not fly over and capture it from the air. That is a man protecting something he valued. That is a man who wanted this marriage to exist on his own terms, private and controlled, away from observation. But wanting something to work and knowing how to sustain it are 2 different skills entirely. And what came next would take 20 years to fully surface. Melinda left Microsoft to raise their 3 children, Jennifer, Rory, and Phoebe. She did not disappear into domesticity. She became the architect of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the largest private charitable organization in the history of the world. She was the one who pushed the foundation toward global health. She was the one who insisted on vaccine distribution in developing countries. Bill brought the capital. Melinda brought the vision that made the capital meaningful. At its peak, the foundation carried an endowment of over $50 billion. They gave TED Talks side by side. They appeared on magazine covers together. They were, by every visible metric, the gold standard of what a powerful partnership could look like. And somewhere underneath all of that, the foundation, the publicity, the synchronized public messaging, Melinda had already begun to notice something. Something she could not yet name. Something she would spend years convincing herself she was imagining. She was not imagining it. In 2000, the same year their 3rd child was born, Bill Gates began an affair with a Microsoft employee. That relationship lasted long enough that the word affair does not adequately capture its duration. Melinda did not find out until 2019, when the New York Times reported it and the rest of the world read it at the same time she did. Think carefully about what that means. She spent 19 years as his partner in everything visible, the children, the foundation, the public legacy, while an entire chapter of his life existed completely outside her knowledge. She was not shielded from it. She was simply excluded from it. That is not the same thing. And then there was Jeffrey Epstein. Beginning around 2013, Bill Gates met with Jeffrey Epstein. Not once. Not twice. At least 6 documented meetings over the course of 2 years. Melinda warned him. She said directly that Epstein was dangerous, that these meetings would destroy everything they had built together. Bill kept going anyway. In a CBS interview years after the divorce, Melinda described Epstein in terms that you do not forget, evil personified. She said she had nightmares about him. She said the meetings haunted her. She said clearly, with no hedging, that this was one of the reasons she left. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. That sequence is deliberate. That is the language of someone who had made peace with a decision that no longer felt like a choice. A man who once rented every helicopter in Hawaii to protect his marriage apparently made no comparable calculation when deciding to meet repeatedly with a convicted sex offender, after his wife had explicitly begged him to stop. The divorce was announced on May 3, 2021. The joint statement was precise and emotionless. After a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage. If you have ever been on the receiving end of carefully rehearsed language from someone who has already decided, you understand precisely what that phrasing conceals. Melinda later described what came after, crying herself raw, lying on the carpet in her room unable to move, panic attacks so severe she was not certain she would survive them. The statement said a great deal of thought. What it meant was years. The settlement figures made every financial headline. Melinda received an estimated $2.4 billion in stock transfers on the day the divorce was finalized. But here is the number nobody led with: zero. As in zero ongoing stake in the foundation she had spent 25 years building. In June of 2024, Melinda officially resigned from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She walked away from the name on the door. She walked away from the joint legacy. She walked away from every structure that still connected her identity to his. The headlines called it a loss. They were looking at it from the wrong direction. Within months of her resignation, Melinda had committed $1 billion, $1 billion, with a B, to her own investment and philanthropic company, Pivotal Ventures, focused entirely on women and families. She was not retreating. She was not managing grief. She was building something that answered to no one but her. A foundation with her name on it, built on her vision, accountable only to her own priorities. This was not a woman who had been broken by a divorce. This was a woman who had been waiting for the divorce to be over so she could begin. And then, in the fall of 2025, Melinda Gates walked into the Clooney Foundation for Justice Gala in New York City. On her arm was a man the cameras did not immediately recognize. His name is Philip Vaughn. He is 48 years old, 13 years younger than Melinda. He is the founder and CEO of Teva, a craft beer delivery company based in Seattle that connects small independent breweries with customers who care about something more than a brand name. It is the kind of business built on taste and relationship and genuine enthusiasm, not shareholder meetings or market share projections. And here is the detail that makes this story feel, structurally, like something that was always going to arrive at this destination. Philip Vaughn worked at Microsoft from 1999 to 2008. 9 years at the same company where Melinda French once walked the hallways as a 23-year-old with 2 Duke degrees and a reputation. The same company where she met Bill Gates. The same company she left to build a life around that marriage. Melinda met Bill at Microsoft. She built her identity around a man she fell in love with at Microsoft. And 3 years after that identity dissolved, she found her happiness with another man who once walked the same campus. Same company. Same hallways. Completely different ending. Philip Vaughn is not a billionaire. He does not give TED Talks. He does not appear on the covers of magazines that track the wealth of tech titans. He has no documented meetings with convicted sex offenders. He has no affairs concealed across 2 decades. He runs a company that delivers craft beer to people who enjoy it, and by every account he does it with genuine care for the small producers he works with. In an interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Melinda described what she was looking for in a partner going forward: open to learning, vibrant, smart, challenging. Someone who would push her to grow. Someone curious about the world. Someone who did not need her to perform a role or carry a name. Not the foundation, not the money, not the Gates name. Her. Since October of 2025, Melinda and Philip have been photographed together consistently. Red carpets. Broadway shows. Helicopter rides into Manhattan for dinner. She is not managing this relationship as a carefully disclosed piece of brand rehabilitation. She is walking into rooms with this man and letting the cameras record exactly how she looks when she does it. She looks lighter. Anyone who watched her public appearances across the years of the marriage, particularly in the later years when the careful calculation in her expression had become visible if you knew what to look for, can see the difference now. The tension is gone. She laughs more easily. She speaks more directly. She moves like a woman who exhaled and has not needed to hold her breath again since. Contrast that with the woman who stood next to Bill for 27 years. The woman who smiled through joint interviews while privately knowing about the Epstein meetings. The woman who discovered an affair from a newspaper report. The woman who lay on the carpet in her bedroom, wondering if the panic attacks would end. That woman is not visible anymore in the photographs being taken now. And that shift, quiet, undeniable, captured in every image from October 2025 forward, is its own kind of evidence. She wrote a memoir after the divorce. She titled it The Moment of Lift. No, the new one, the one she has been discussing in recent interviews, she titled the next day. Not My Marriage. Not What I Lost. The next day. Because for Melinda, the most significant chapter in her story was not the 27 years with Bill Gates. It was the morning after those 27 years ended, and every morning since. Bill Gates is also in a new relationship. Her name is Paula Hurd, the widow of former Oracle CEO Mark Hurd, who passed away in 2019. Paula moves in the same tech philanthropic circles Bill has always occupied. Same galas, same conference rooms, same conversations about software and global health policy and the future of computing. Bill found someone who already understood the architecture of his world. Someone who fit into the life he had always lived without requiring him to rebuild anything. In recent interviews, when asked about his greatest regret, Bill Gates has said publicly that losing Melinda is the thing he wishes he could undo. He has called it the mistake that keeps him up at night. He has admitted that he caused the damage. That is a considerable admission from a man whose entire public identity is built on being right about nearly everything. But regret only moves in one direction. Bill is conducting an analysis of the past. Melinda is already deep into the next chapter. He is running the foundation with his name still on the door. She walked away from that door and opened a different one. He is dating someone from the world he has always lived in. She is holding hands with a man who built a craft beer business because he cared about independent breweries. He speaks about what he lost. She speaks about what she found. He shows up at the same events he has always attended. She shows up at Broadway shows, at galas, at helicopter rides over Manhattan, looking like a woman who cannot quite believe how good it feels to want what she has. And here is the thing Melinda Gates has never done. Across 3 years of the most public divorce of the decade, she has never badmouthed Bill by name in a way designed to wound him. She has never named the Microsoft employee. She has never weaponized the details she clearly possesses. When asked direct questions about the hardest parts, she answers with measured honesty and moves forward. She did not need to burn the building down. She just needed to leave it. At 61 years old, Melinda Gates is doing something that is actually much harder than surviving a devastating marriage. She is rebuilding an identity that was never supposed to be separable from someone else's. She is writing her name on things that belong only to her. She is walking into rooms on her own terms, with a man who chose her, not the alliance. The woman who seemed, for 27 years, to be the supporting partner, the one who left her career, who deferred the recognition, who built the foundation and watched someone else's name go on the door, was not the one who lost this story. She was always the one who was going to outlast it. Was this love story always more about what Melinda was willing to give than what Bill was willing to protect? And when you look at the woman in those photographs from 2025, lighter, laughing, holding the arm of a man who delivers craft beer, do you think she would go back and change a single day of what came after? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. For more interesting stories like this, be sure to click on the next video that pops up on your screen. You never know what you'll discover next.